Right, a succession of tough lockdown restrictions imposed in South Africa in 2020 hammered a tourism sector reliant on foreigners, with businesses closing and shedding thousands of hospitality jobs before being eased earlier this year. While now travel restrictions are reimposed by the EU, the US and other countries due to the Omicron variant, deemed a variant of concern by the World Health Organization, South Africa has been cut off by three of its biggest foreign markets. Thebe Ikalafeng, a South African Tourism Board Member, joins us to explore the challenges faced by the tourism sector. This as the COVID-19 numbers continue to rise. Thebe, good evening. Thanks for joining us here tonight. All right, Thebe, perhaps as you unmute yourself, let me delve straight in. Perhaps the bleakest reality many businesses have had to face since the world has plunged into a series of lockdowns is that many of them have not survived, and many of them are also hanging on by a thread, particularly the tourism sector. How bad is the situation amid the restrictions imposed due to this Omicron variant as we speak?
Lizel, are we live now? Can you hear me?
Thebe, you're live and we can hear you loud and clearly. Please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, I mean, we have seen a complete devastation of the industry, as you know. I mean, international tourists have gone down by as much as 75%. If you look at just before, up to 2019, 2020. And, you know, the devastation goes beyond just the tourists coming here, because every tourist who comes here creates a number of jobs in the country. And tourism itself contributes to about direct jobs, 4 to 5% of the number of people are employed in South Africa. So you can see the impact goes beyond just people coming to visit. It goes down to our economy, down to employment. It goes down to the contribution to the GDP, and tourism contributes about 3 to 5% of the GDP of South Africa. So this is not just people coming to visit to stay in our beautiful places. It's really about the country generating income and being able to sustain itself.
Thebe, you know, on the back of what you've just echoed, I wonder what your thoughts are on the UK, the EU and even the US issuing their latest travel restrictions against South Africa. I mean, how much strain is it putting on South Africa? How is it going to impact us in the long run?
Well, as I've said just now, it impacts us on two levels, or a couple of levels. It impacts us from contribution to the GDP of South Africa, which is the money that we generate every year to be able to contribute to some of the public goods that we service. It impacts us from an employment ability to be able to employ our people in the country. As I said, it contributes to about 4 to 5% of the employment. But it's going to take a long time for us to be able to recover this. We've already come out of about 18 months, and the economy was beginning to see, not just from tourism abroad, and yes, particularly in tourism. So this is it's a massive impact on the country.
You know, Thebe, I asked that question again just to drive home the point that obviously as South Africa's economy at large aims to recover, I mean, amid a sector revival within the tourism sector and perhaps domestic travel coming under the spotlight again, I mean, what initiatives have been geared perhaps to aid recovery so desperately needed by the sector back home?
I'm so glad you mentioned domestic tourism because yes, while we're suffering from a drop of 75% international tourism, but international tourists to South Africa account for about 25% of the people who come to South Africa from outside of the continent, and the African tourists largely contribute about 75% of the tourists in the country. And what we've seen from a domestic perspective, up to 2019, we're beginning to see some really exciting growth. We're seeing domestic spend going up as much as 70%, which really speaks to the opportunity that domestic provides for South Africa. So even before the pandemic, it would have been great for South Africans to get to see more of their country, to get to travel into the country. But of course, because now with the pandemic and with the COVID, with the Omicron particularly, taking away the opportunity which was growing back again, it's an opportunity again for South Africans to enjoy some of the products that we have, to enjoy the land that we have. If you look at the trends in the past, generally as as South Africans, particularly African, Black South Africans, when we travel to visit friends and family. But now is an opportunity to take our friends and family along to get them to see more than just our homes and where we come from, but to get to see the diversity of the country. So the opportunities that we as South African tourism and really broadly the industry are offering South Africans is really great deals, because they probably will never be able to, or not will be able to, but I would say that there's probably never been a better time to enjoy some of these great products. I speak to people who are telling me that they're staying in fabulous houses, hotels. They are getting excellent deals, which combinations of the transportation, the accommodation, and food at better deals than they've ever had before. So from a domestic travel perspective, it's a great opportunity for South Africans, great opportunities for the industry, for us to look home again. You know, we always say charity begins at home. I think opportunity is at home as well.
Well, you're speaking about leveraging opportunities, and it's clear that the power of perceptions and narratives, and even just that paradigm shift that's needed in the way we look at the situation we find ourselves in as South Africa needs to really come to the fore. I wonder, what will it take to ensure that South Africa becomes a destination of choice again for foreign travelers and, locals at large?
The biggest hurdle that we have to overcome is first an acceptance, and you said earlier, an acceptance that the virus is here. The virus is going to become a part of our lives, not as South Africans, not as Africans broadly, but as the world. So we are going to have to live with it the way we're living with TB, the way we're living with many other viruses that have come over our lifetimes. So what we need to do to ensure that we are primed to attract the tourists back to South Africa is an assurance that it's a country that has got all the right protocols to mitigate against the spread of the virus. That's why it's so important to get South Africans at large to vaccinate. I mean, right now we've got only about 40% adult vaccinated and about 35 or so who are fully vaccinated. We need to get a bigger number. We need to get up to 60-70% to get what you call herd immunity. So we need to get South Africans to wear masks. So we need to get South Africans to observe all the other protocols. So for the industry, for South Africa, for the world to recover, for Africa to recover, we just need to assure everybody that South Africa is a great country. It's a country that observes all the protocols. It's a country, again, that is beautiful to visit and has got great diverse offerings, both from the fauna, the flora, and its value for money generally has always been throughout its history.
Thebe, it's always a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you very much for your time today. Thebe Ikalafeng, South African Tourism Board Member, joining us to explore the challenges faced by the tourism sector.